Hey everyone, it is Dani and welcome to this update video. I hope that you're doing really great this afternoon. And so we will be taking a look at what is going on across the North Atlantic Basin, and we'll also be looking at what models are showing something pretty interesting as we're going to be heading into later into August, maybe not far from now. So before I go into details, please do subscribe if you haven't yet done so and tap the bell so that you never miss an important update. Alright, and so as we return to this satellite imagery, here we can see that there is quite a bit of thunderstorm activity off the east coast of the U.S. extended into Florida, the northern Bahamas, and even into the Gulf of Mexico as well. And we have Invest 96L out there. Let's quickly go ahead and look at the latest from NHC, and we're seeing here that it is designated a 30% chance of development. So there's that gradual decrease in the formation chance of this, and it doesn't look as though this is going to become our next tropical cyclone, but regardless, it is going to be passing east of Bermuda, well to the east, and not going to be a threat to land. So that one we can say is likely not going to develop into anything. As I said earlier, though, we could be looking at something heading to maybe next week or the following week. But let's zoom into some other areas and see what is happening. As for the main development region, there are two tropical waves out there, and one is not too far from the northeastern coast of South America, and there is another that has recently emerged from the coast of Africa. And let's go ahead and look into the vicinity of the Caribbean and surrounding areas, starting off with northern South America and parts of the southern Caribbean. So we can see that across some parts of Colombia, Venezuela, Guyana, Suriname, French Guiana, there is some thunderstorm activity developing. Things looking a lot quieter in the vicinity of the Lesser Antilles, ABC Islands, pretty hot and sunny. For most of us, this is undesirable because it has been so hot and uncomfortable. I can totally relate to that because I am a rainfall person. I love the rain. I am not a big fan of all this heat here. Let's go further up, and here we can see a better picture of Central America where there is a lot going on. So tropical wave is in the area helping to enhance all of this convective activity we're seeing this afternoon across, especially parts of Nicaragua, going to Honduras, some spots in Belize, Guatemala, El Salvador, and even to Mexico right there. Things are a bit clearer for Panama and some spots in Costa Rica, but still some activity in some spots nonetheless. Going to the Cayman Islands, some cloud cover for Grand Cayman, not a whole lot going on for Little Cayman and Cayman Brac. For Jamaica, some northern parishes experiencing some thunderstorm activity, but other areas could experience some rainfall as we head to later today. Up to Cuba, we see some thunderstorms in the east. Going up to the Bahamas, the Turks and Caicos Islands, some isolated thunderstorms and cloud cover, nothing crazy. Heading to the Dominican Republic, we also see some thunderstorms there, similar still for some spots in Puerto Rico. But again, Virgin Islands, Lesser Antilles, ABC Islands, all in the clear as it is just dry right now. There isn't much going on in the area, so it's been a pretty sunny and hot day, as I said earlier. And so guys, that is what is happening. And so now we want to go ahead and take a look at what models have to show. So firstly, we're going to be looking at the GFS and Euro ensemble members. Firstly, go into GFS. Here we can see that there are some of these members. Those different lines represent different members, expecting that we could see something. But take a look at this. They're not showing that it will be entering the Caribbean. Maybe something, a tropical wave making its way by, moving on a northwestward like track and intensifying north of the Caribbean, maybe in the vicinity of the Bahamas. Euro ensemble members are taking this into the Caribbean and attempting to intensify there, and we also see that little cluster up into the vicinity of the Bahamas. So these models here are sniffing at these ensemble tracks here, rather sniffing at something. And by the way, this goes out to the next 10 days, which is up to Friday of next week, pretty far out from now. So there are bound to be changes. And I also want to point out something that the Icon model is showing. Icon is a good model out there. So as we take a look at it, here we are heading to the end of this week. We're looking for those closed circular isobars and that L which represents that low pressure area. So as we head to the end of this week, going into next week, there we see that tropical wave making its way into the vicinity of the northeastern Caribbean, not developing much, but take a look at that next one behind it, seemingly trying to get itself together. And this actually goes along with what the ensemble members for both GFS and Euro are expecting, those different clusters of tracks. But we're seeing seeing them being more for that second wave, maybe trying to get itself together. So maybe it will be the case where that first wave makes its way through, maybe create a more moist environment, which would allow for that second wave to develop, keeping that other conditions are conducive enough. The Canadian model, though, is being pretty bullish about something developing. By the way, with Icon, that was for the middle of next week, next Wednesday. Let's go on to the Canadian model and see what is expected here. Again, there is the time up there, and as we go into this weekend, not seeing much. There's that tropical wave, though, as we head into next week, go into Tuesday, Wednesday. There we have it intensifying. The Canadian model showing that here we're going to be having an intensifying system, and it is also showing that northwestward track, showing the system making its way into the vicinity of the northeastern Caribbean, the Leeward Islands. So pretty interesting here, but this wouldn't be surprising. But I think that the Canadian model is being pretty bullish right now with this, but what we're seeing is some sort of agreement with some of these models, maybe not showing anything significant, but we will have a clearer picture as we head closer to this time frame here, as we head into the end of this week going into next week. But development will be dependent on how conducive conditions are, so we'll have to wait and see what's going to be happening. But it is important to look at what these models are expecting, and there are bound to be changes. There can be the next update and that run shows something completely different, so only time will tell. But I'm here to keep you guys posted so that you're never caught off guard, and that is what I wanted to share with you guys in this update, to bring you the latest. So that is pretty much it for right now. I hope you found this video to be informative, and you can share your thoughts in the comments, as well as any questions. I'll respond to them as soon as I can, and as always, remember to be weatherwise.